A welfare check turned into a homicide investigation in Merced. Now police are still searching for answers after a woman was found dead inside her apartment and her daughter, 28-year-old Selena Bass-Vazquez, arrested and booked into jail.
Doorbell cameras don't lie, and on July 11th, one of them caught a woman walking out of an apartment, calm, not rushing, not looking back over her shoulder, just walking, like it was any other afternoon in Merced, California. 20 minutes later, police would be forcing that same door open, and what they found on the other side of it was a 53-year-old mother, stabbed multiple times, left there alone inside the home she shared with her own daughter. Merced, California. Population, not even 90,000 people. The kind of place where, and I mean this, everybody really does know everybody. One resident put it plain, there's only so many places to go in Merced, so we're always running into each other. That's the kind of community this happened in. Close, small, the kind of place where a tragedy like this one doesn't just hit a family, it hits a whole neighborhood. So let me lay it out for you because this one is still unfolding as we speak. Michelle Vazquez was 53 years old, and from everybody who knew her, the picture painted is the same one over and over. Hardworking, fun-loving, a real good spirit. She used to work at Big Lots. She also put in time at a U.S. post office out in Fresno. This was a woman with a work ethic, a woman who showed up, a woman the community actually knew. Her friend of over 30 years, a man named Ronnie Martin, told reporters he'd spoken to her the night before she died. Just a regular conversation. No warning. No sign that anything in the world was about to go wrong. She was a real good person, a real good spirit, Ronnie said. Just overall good person, hardworking, good person. Michelle had a daughter, 28-year-old Selena Bass-Vazquez, and Selena had a son of her own, a 1-year-old little boy. At the time all this happened, Selena and her baby were living with Michelle inside that same Brookdale North apartment. Police don't believe they'd been staying there very long. 3 generations under one roof. A grandmother, a daughter, a grandson. That's the family. That's who we're talking about. Here's what we know led up to that night. Neighbors at Brookdale North reported hearing a loud argument. Late, sometime during the night. Voices raised, loud enough that the people living next door couldn't help but hear it through the walls. Now we don't know what was said. We don't know who started it or why. Nobody's released that. Not the police, not the family, nobody. What we do know is this. An argument happened that night, inside that apartment. And by the next afternoon, one of the 2 women in that apartment would be dead, and the other would be in the back of a police car. That's the gap we're sitting in right now. That silence between loud argument and welfare check. That's the part of this story nobody can fill in for you yet, not even the investigators. Saturday, July 11th, around 1:30 in the afternoon, police get called out to Brookdale North Apartments for a welfare check. Somebody was worried. Somebody hadn't heard from Michelle, or maybe it was the argument the night before that raised the alarm. Either way, officers show up at her door. They knock, nobody answers. They knock again, still nothing. So they force their way in, and that's when they find her, Michelle Vazquez, suffering from multiple stab wounds. Investigators would later say she'd likely been dead for several hours already, meaning whatever happened in that apartment, it happened well before anybody came knocking. Selena wasn't there, neither was the baby. But here's the detail that's going to sit with you. Doorbell camera footage from the apartment reportedly showed Selena leaving before police ever arrived. And she wasn't running. She wasn't panicked. Detective Crane, one of the investigators on this case, described it as her walking normally out of the apartment, like nothing had happened at all. Make it make sense. A woman is dead inside, and the person police believe is responsible is caught on camera just walking away. Calm, unhurried, like she had somewhere to be. Now, here's where this story picks up speed. Detectives didn't waste any time. Once Michelle was found and once they realized who was living in that apartment with her, they had their primary suspect within minutes, 28-year-old Selena Bass-Vazquez. But Selena wasn't just missing. She was gone with her 1-year-old son in a dark silver Toyota CHR, and nobody knew where. So police did what they had to do. They sent out a citywide alert naming Selena as the suspect and letting the public know she was believed to be armed and dangerous. On top of that, the California Highway Patrol issued an endangered missing advisory for the baby because at that point, nobody could confirm the little boy was safe. Think about that for a second. A grandmother is dead, and now there's a 1-year-old out there somewhere in a car with a woman police believe just committed murder. That's the kind of pressure investigators were working under, not just catch a suspect, find a child. And here's where the community actually stepped in. A citizen recognized that dark silver Toyota, recognized it from the alert, and they were looking right at it, parked at Rahilly Park, a public park not far from the apartment complex. That citizen called it in. Within about an hour of Michelle being found, Merced PD and the California Highway Patrol rolled up on Rahilly Park, and there was Selena. She was taken into custody without incident. No chase, no struggle. Officers described her as peaceful when they approached her, distraught, clearly shaken by the weight of the situation, but she didn't resist. And inside that car, they found the baby, safe, unharmed, not a scratch on him. One officer put it simply, the child was found safe, she was distraught at the situation, but our main priority was a child. That baby was immediately placed into the protective custody of Child Protective Services, where, as of this recording, he still remains. So let's just sit with that for a second. In the space of about an hour, this family went from a welfare check to a homicide scene to a citywide manhunt to a mother in handcuffs and a baby boy sitting alone in the back of a getaway car, too young to understand any of what just happened to the only 2 women who raised him. Now, at this point, investigators still had a big blank space in the middle of this case, and it's a blank space that, as of right now, still hasn't been filled in. A motive. There's no explanation for what caused this, no confirmed reason for the argument the night before, no statement from Selena that's been made public. Detectives have flat out said it. There's no explanation as to what caused the situation or what happened during it. That's rare for a case like this to go public still holding that much silence. Usually, by the time an arrest is made, at least a partial motive leaks out. Not here. Whatever happened inside that Brookdale North apartment between a mother and her daughter, it's staying between the walls of that apartment and whatever comes out in a courtroom.
28-year-old Selena Bass-Vazquez is in jail while her toddler son remains in the custody of CPS tonight after Merced police believe she stabbed her mother to death yesterday. Action News reporter Carrie Mannix brought you this story as breaking news from Merced last night. She joins us now from the live desk after speaking with the victim's friend. Carrie.
Christina, we're not identifying the victim tonight out of respect for her family, but her friend of more than 30 years told me she was a hardworking and fun-loving woman who deeply loved her grandson.
Authorities in Merced opened a murder investigation after finding a woman dead at the Brookdale North Apartments Saturday. Police say while conducting a welfare check around 1:30 p.m., officers had to force entry after no one came to the door. Inside, they found the woman's body. She had been stabbed multiple times. Detectives quickly sent out a citywide alert that identified the woman's daughter, 28-year-old Selena Bass-Vazquez, as the suspect, who they believed at the time to be armed and dangerous and traveling with her 1-year-old son in a dark silver Toyota CHR.
A citizen recognized the vehicle on the alert at a nearby park and contacted the Merced Police Department.
The Merced Police Department and the CHP responded to Rahilly Park, where they found and arrested Bass-Vazquez without further incident. Police say her toddler, who was found there with her, was unharmed and is now safe in the custody of Child Protective Services. The killing left the community in shock.
I just can't fathom that, No matter how mad you are or whatnot, that's your own parent. And the sad thing is, you know, it's probably the one person who's probably going to always take you in and have your back no matter what you're going through in life.
Ronnie Martin says he knew the victim for over 30 years and had just spoken with her the night before her murder. Like many others, he's now left only with unanswered questions and memories of his friend.
She was a real good person, a real good spirit, just an overall good person, so hardworking, good person.
Authorities are still investigating what led to the murder. Police did not release any further details other than that Bass-Vazquez had been living in her mother's apartment with her and her son, and that she was booked into the Merced County Jail last night.
Selena Bass-Vazquez was booked into Merced County Jail on one count of murder. The Merced County District Attorney's Office would go on to formally charge her with first-degree murder, along with a sentencing enhancement for the alleged use of a deadly weapon. That enhancement matters. It's the kind of charge that, if proven, adds real time on top of whatever sentence a first-degree murder conviction already carries. As of now, Selena remains in custody at Merced County Jail. Her arraignment is scheduled for July 23, 2026. That's it. That's as far as the legal process has gone. No trial date, no plea, no motive entered into the public record. This case is still wide open. Michelle Vazquez's family is left with a version of grief most people never have to touch. Her other daughter spoke about the loss, and she didn't hold back on what her mother meant to her. She described Michelle as caring, positive, and strong. She said, plain and simple, that she lost her best friend in a way she never could have imagined. And now she's left not knowing how she, her brother, and the rest of their family are supposed to get through this. That's the thing about a case like this one. It's not just a homicide. It's not just a headline out of Merced. It's a family that lost a mother, a sister, and a grandmother, all while trying to make sense of the fact that the person accused of taking her is the same person she raised. And then there's that baby boy, 1 year old. Too young to remember any of this. Too young to know that in a single day, he lost his mother to the justice system, and he lost his grandmother to a crime that still doesn't have an answer. He's growing up now in the custody of Child Protective Services, not with his mother, not with his grandmother, with strangers, tasked with figuring out what happens to him next. Domestic violence-related homicides are some of the hardest cases for investigators to work, and it's not hard to understand why. When the victim and the accused share blood, share a home, share a family, there's no outside motive to chase down, no stranger to profile, just two people who knew each other better than almost anyone else in the world, and a silence neither one of them is explaining. Michelle's family has since set up a fund to help cover what comes next: funeral costs, legal costs, the weight of a tragedy nobody budgets for. As it stands right now, this case is still open in every sense that matters. Selena Bass-Vazquez is awaiting arraignment. The motive behind Michelle Vazquez's death has not been made public, and a community in Merced, California, is left asking the same question so many of you watching this are probably asking right now. How does it get to this point between a mother and her own child? We don't have that answer, not yet, maybe not ever. But Michelle Vazquez was 53 years old. She was hardworking, she was loved, and she deserved to grow old with the family she spent her whole life showing up for.